In today's Final Touch, we have probably the quintessential Christmas tree lighting ceremony.
Hundreds of people packed Bethlehem's main square over the weekend for the annual Christmas tree lighting. The event took place in Manger Square, just in front of the Church of the Nativity, built on the site where Christians believe Jesus was born. Is that good enough for you? Crowds cheered as the giant tree was illuminated. Christians make up a small minority of Palestinians, and Bethlehem is one of the only cities in the West Bank and Gaza where Christians Christmas. Revelers and worshipers alike will pack the same square for Christmas Eve festivities later this month. That's the place to be, I guess.
That's exactly right. That's pretty. I love all the lights.
Christmas tree lighting all over the world this past weekend. It's time is here. 'Tis the season. That's our time for now. Thanks for watching. We'll see you back here again tomorrow. News 3 Now at 5 starts right now.
And right now at 5, a student is in custody after being shot at Waukesha South High School by an officer. We'll explain what led to the incident.
New surveillance video has been released of a fight that happened on State Street over the weekend, why a nearby business owner says this is nothing new.
Plus, why some property owners of mixed-use buildings in Madison are finding it more difficult to get retailers into those buildings.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now at 5.
And we'll get to those stories in a bit, but first, some breaking news. Former President Jimmy Carter is back in the hospital. A spokeswoman says he has been admitted for a urinary tract infection. The 95-year-old was admitted to Phoebe Sumter Medical Center in Americus over the weekend. The spokeswoman said the former president, feeling better, looks forward to returning home soon. An investigation underway outside Milwaukee after a student was shot by a police officer after bringing a gun into Waukesha South High School.
Charlotte DeLeste is here now with more on what led up to the shooting. Charlotte.
Well, Susan and Eric, the student who was shot is a 17-year-old male currently in police custody at an area hospital and said to be in stable condition. Officers were called to the school around 10:15 this morning after a student warned a student resource officer that a classmate brought a gun to school. Police say the resource officer confronted the armed student and cleared the classroom to get other students to safety. City of Waukesha police officers and deputies arrived to try to de-escalate the situation, but the teen ignored commands and pointed a gun at the officers. That is when an 11-year veteran of the department shot the teen. It is every parent and every community's worst nightmare.
We are very grateful for the response of the South High School SRO, the Waukesha Police Department, and the Waukesha County Sheriff's Department. The safety and security of our entire school community is our top priority.
Officers are not looking for any other persons of interest. Governor Evers is reacting to the shooting at Waukesha South High School. He commended first responders who helped get students to safety and said it's gut-wrenching that our kids wondered whether this was a drill or it was real. Our kids shouldn't have to fear for their life in our classrooms or at school, and no parent should have to send their kid off to school in the morning worrying about whether or not they'll come home. The Waukesha Police Department says that also today a student was reported to be in possession of a firearm across town at Waukesha North High School. Officers found the student at home and took that person into custody.
Certainly some scary moments. Long day for the police there as well. All right, Charlotte, thank you.
Thank you, Charlotte. The Madison Police Department is hoping surveillance photos will help them identify the man who approached students on the playground at Orchard Ridge Elementary School. Officers say the man spoke to students Tuesday and threw candy on the ground near them. Madison police say the man tried to enter the school but left when he realized the door was locked. If you are able to identify this man or have information on this incident, police ask you to call Madison Area Crime Stoppers. We're learning more about a fight that happened on State Street this weekend that ended with multiple people being arrested and cited.
Responding officers initially called it bedlam and insanity, but police say this chaos when bars close is nothing new. Our Amanda Quintana live on State Street with more on what started it all. Amanda?
Business owners here say they're used to seeing fights on State Street, and the fight on Saturday morning wasn't as chaotic as it was first reported. This is an issue that police are all too familiar with.
There's a cop pulling the guy out.
A 15-person fight that started in Qdoba early Saturday morning was caught on camera by the Green Barn door right next door.
We see this quite frequently on weekends, particularly Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights in the entertainment district, not just State Street, but University Avenue.
Madison Police Public Information Officer Joel Despain says it started when a group cut in line. Drinks were thrown, then the fight spilled into the street, responding officers calling it chaos.
They're seeing a lot of pushing, some shouting. They start to contact people, and the people they're contacting begin to resist. And as those people begin to resist, their friends get involved. At the same moment, there are a lot of people spilling into the street from other bars because it's bar time.
For those officers and businesses on State Street, this is nothing new.
The classic bar misunderstanding that turns into a scuffle that gets two other people shoved around, and all of a sudden you got 20 people that are mad about they don't know what. So, yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Something got out of hand.
Landon Meskey at Knuckleheads just above Qdoba says they're used to hearing about fights outside. It's just part of being downtown.
I come into the shop with puke in front of my door all the time. So, yeah, it gets nuts down here on State Street.
A frequent issue for police that's a drain on their resources.
It's one of the things that we've been talking to the council about, and the need for more officers, particularly in the downtown area.
13 Madison police officers and 3 or 4 UW Police Department officers were sent here to the scene. They were unsure what they were walking up to. Joel Despain tells me that there have been incidents where people were shooting at each other similarly, so they weren't really sure what they were going to see here, but thankfully nobody was hurt.
Amanda Quintana live on State Street. Amanda, thank you. And now that most of us are home from traveling for the holidays, of course, now all is calm. Let's get your first alert forecast, meteorologist Gary Canalti. Gary?
Yeah, we actually have a pretty nice week setting up for us with temperatures slightly above normal and a fair amount of sunshine. As we take a look at visible cloud track, you can see where there's little or no snow cover, basically from southern Wisconsin through much of Iowa, but to the north and west, there's widespread snow cover. Areas up near Lake Superior have about 2 feet of snow on the ground from the 2 storm systems that affected Wisconsin over the holiday weekend. Some light snow heading up through northern Minnesota, but southern Wisconsin pretty quiet right now. Temperatures are in the upper 20s to around 30 degrees. As clouds move in later on tonight, that will slow the temperature fall. Look for low temperatures in the middle 20s. Tomorrow will turn partly sunny, and temperatures will be a few degrees milder with a high around 39. Later on, I'll take a look at a forecast that perhaps includes some 40s as we head toward the weekend.
Gary, thanks. A Darlington woman was cited in connection with a hit and run involving an Amish buggy. Lafayette County deputies say 56-year-old Jeannie Halverson was headed south on Highway 126 in Belmont Township when she hit the buggy and didn't stop. Halverson was cited for several things, including first offense operating a motor vehicle while intoxicated. She was arrested on suspicion of criminal damage to property and was taken to the Lafayette County Jail. There is no word on the condition of those in the buggy or the horse.
East Washington Avenue has seen a lot of development over the past few years, particularly with its mixed-use buildings.
But not all mixed-use buildings in Madison are created equal. Jamie Perez explored why some property owners of mixed-use buildings find it more difficult than others to get retailers on the first floor of those buildings, which is a city requirement. Jamie?
Well, for many of the property owners and developers that I spoke with today, retail they call an art. And what they found is that because the demand for housing in Madison is so high, there are a lot of people wanting to bring apartments here. But the city wants mixed-use spaces. So they end up building these mixed-use buildings and putting retail as a second thought. It's part of the reason why some buildings struggle to fill their retail spaces on the first floor. Property developers say storefront visibility, anchor stores, location, population density, and the amount of parking all play a role in whether or not a retailer wants to fill the spaces that are vacant. The developer that owns all 3 of those major mixed-use buildings on East Washington told me today that while he personally hasn't had an issue filling those spaces, he does know why others have so much trouble.
When you get into the suburbs and some outer areas, you do find an issue with not enough density to support the retail. So the retail is a great concept in any case, but if you don't have the density of population to support that retail, it becomes a bit of an issue.
I found today that the closer that I got to the Capitol, the less of a problem filling retail spaces became for those multi-use buildings. But the farther away I got, the more vacancies there were. Coming up tonight at 6, I'll have more details on why mixed use works better in some areas than others.
I look forward to that. Jamie Perez reporting. Jamie, thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. Today, students at UW-Madison are protesting after a staff member was put on paid administrative leave for what some felt was a racist comment. UW junior Chu Feng Yang worked in the multicultural learning community as a house fellow who oversees students on a floor. But after Yang reportedly told students to limit who is invited to their community based on race, Yang was given 2 hours to move out of the dorms. And students are now protesting his leave, saying that it isn't fair.
I think what Chu Feng was trying to say is that when you bring people to the space, you really need to be intentional of who you bring so that they don't harm other marginalized students on the floor, so that they don't re-traumatize students who are basically just trying to live and survive.
Students are sending the university a list of demands, including a formal apology to the community's residents and additional resources for them.
It is Cyber Monday, and we're sharing some money-saving strategies. Shoppers should be wary of the buy more, save more types of deals. For example, when it comes to getting free shipping, once you spend a certain amount, you should avoid it unless the free shipping minimum is near your total and the extra you add to your cart is equivalent to what the shipping fee will be. Also, make a budget and stick to it.
Specifically write down who are you buying for and what are your thoughts and how much do you want to spend, because it's really easy to find great deals and be like, oh, I'm going to buy this, oh, I'm going to buy this, and then you have all of these boxes showing up at your house that you maybe didn't plan for. So it's really important to stick to your budget.
Meanwhile, the IRS is joining forces with the Madison Police Department and organizations across the country to discuss National Tax Security Awareness Week, anchored between the holiday shopping season and the upcoming tax filing season. National Tax Security Awareness Week encourages individuals, businesses, and tax professionals to secure their sensitive financial data and protect themselves against identity theft and other scams that tend to peak during this time of the year.
Security online, if it's the HTTPS, it's a secure site. If it's just the HTTP at the beginning of that website, it's not secure. So just be aware of that.
And experts are reminding people to never send gift cards to companies. Do not wire money to other accounts. Never give your Social Security number out to people you do not know.
Well, we know it can be tough to catch our call for action volunteers when they're here over the lunch hour. So tonight there is a special opportunity to reach out to them.
On Cyber Monday, no less. The phone line's open right now for you to call in and see if they can help with any consumer problems you might have. Leah Linscheid in the newsroom. She joins us now with more. Leah?
Hi, Susan and Eric. So the phone lines, they just opened up. We have our beloved call for action volunteers here this evening. You can tell they're already taking phone calls. You can normally catch them during lunch hours. That's Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. But they're working overtime tonight to help you out this evening as you get home from work. And they can help you with a host of issues. We have specialists here in health, telecommunications issues, education, and much more. Plus, we get results. To date this year, the National Call for Action organization has retrieved more than $500,000 for consumers. I'm going to talk more about those success stories coming up in our next hour. In the meantime, though, give our volunteers a call. You can tell they're busy right now. Here's our number, 608-270-2833. We will be here until 7 this evening to help you out. Back to you guys.
All right, Leah, thank you. The Milwaukee Brewers, they might need a call for action. They're going to have to find a new third baseman. Mike Moustakas heading to Cincinnati to play for the Reds. Reports say he'll get $64 million over 4 years. The Brewers have made a lot of roster moves in the offseason. Besides Moustakas, they've lost catcher Yasmani Grandal, pitcher Zach Davies, outfielder Trent Grisham, pitcher Chase Anderson, and first baseman Eric Thames.
Tickets for the Big Ten Championship and the first round of the NCAA volleyball tournament are on sale right now. The Badger football team will be taking on Ohio State on Saturday at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. The game starts at 7 o'clock. And the Badger volleyball team gets a number 4 seed and will be hosting the first round of the tournament. Wisconsin will face Illinois State on Friday at 7 at the Fieldhouse. You can find tickets for both of those events at uwbadgers.com.
And no surprise here, another week, another award for Giannis Antetokounmpo. He's been named the Eastern Conference Player of the Week again. The Greek Freak helped lead the Bucks to a 4-0 record last week. And during those games, he averaged almost 35 points and 11 assists per game. The highlight was Monday against the Jazz when he recorded the second 50-point game of his career. It's the second time Giannis has won Player of the Week this season alone. It's the 11th time in his career. More to come on News 3 Now at 5. Up next, the impeachment inquiry entering a new phase now. We'll tell you who is expected to testify later this week.
And coming up tonight at 6, a local school district discusses potential time changes for next school year. We'll explain at 6.
And a rough start to the week after the extended holiday break on Wall Street. The Dow plummets 268 points. The Nasdaq off 97. The S&P drops 27. And we'll be right back. The House Judiciary Committee has unveiled its witness list ahead of its first hearing into the impeachment of President Donald Trump.
They plan to question a quartet of constitutional law experts. White House counsel declined an invitation to participate in Wednesday's hearing, saying it, quote, exacerbates the complete lack of due process and fundamental fairness for the president. The White House has not ruled out participating in future hearings. It has until the end of the week to decide. Some Republicans are split over Wednesday's hearing.
I think it would be to the president's advantage to have his attorneys there.
Why would they want to participate in just another rerun?
We aren't here to talk about impeachment or the president of the United States. When we travel abroad, we don't talk about the president.
House Judiciary Chairman Jerry Nadler released a statement in reaction to the White House's refusal to participate Wednesday, saying the response is unfortunate because allowing the president to participate has been a priority for the House from the onset. The long holiday weekend is over, but many people are having a tough time with the back-to-work commute. The major winter storm that slammed the West Coast for Thanksgiving and the Midwest over the weekend is now hitting New England. Heavy snow moving from New York into Boston. High winds will cause blowing and drifting snow throughout much of the Northeast through tomorrow morning. Some areas will see over a foot of snow, along with some sleet and freezing rain. But for us, all is quiet as the work week begins. Gary Canalti is here with the forecast. Gary?
You know, we could have just taken that last story and just talked about the Midwest over the weekend, because that's exactly what we were talking about. Now we're talking about a completely different weather pattern. Three things you need to know in the forecast. We'll see partly sunny skies for most of this week. And along with that, our temperatures are going to be pretty mild, or at least a little milder than normal, probably mid to upper 30s for the most part, when the average high temperature now is in the low 30s. It'll also be mainly dry through Saturday. About the only exception I could see will be a chance of a few flurries Thursday night as a weak cold front comes through and drops temperatures for a bit on Friday. But otherwise, the next rain chance will probably be on Sunday. We'll see a chance of some rain showers. That will change over to some light snow by Monday of next week as temperatures turn a little bit colder. But if you take a look at high temperatures over the last 10, or for the next 10 days, you can see how the average high temperature drops from the mid 30s to the upper 20s over that time span. And our temperatures will be a little bit above that, except for Friday. Then we'll see a mild stretch over the weekend, drop our temperatures back down briefly for Tuesday of next week, and be back to around normal for the middle of next week. On Doppler track, some light snow moving through northern Minnesota. The rest of the Midwest, pretty quiet right now. And if you take a look at the snow depth, take a look at what happened with the storm over the weekend. See these areas up here near Lake Superior? Over 2 feet of snow on the ground. That's pretty much from the two storm systems that hit the upper Midwest this weekend. This area of a foot or more of snow, basically from about Wausau, or between Wausau and Rhinelander, to near Eau Claire and Minneapolis and areas to the north. But you look at southern Wisconsin, where we are, much of the area from Madison southward has very little or no snow cover, and even the northern parts of the area have perhaps just a couple of inches at most on the ground. As we take a look at the live view from the Edgewater Skycam in downtown Madison, things pretty quiet tonight. We've had sunny skies for most of the day. High temperature made it up to 35 degrees, which is exactly our average high temperature for this time of year. Low temperature 25, and right now we've dropped back to 29. Skies are still clear and the air is calm, but as clouds move in later on tonight, that will keep our temperatures from falling off too quickly. And if you look at the low temperatures this morning over that fresh snow cover, they were below zero over much of northern Minnesota and even in northwestern Wisconsin. Teens in the central part of the state, but where there was little or no snow cover, temperatures stayed in the 20s, and that'll be the case over the next couple of days. As we look at weather track, the main storm track now has flattened out, so we're not looking at any big storm systems here. The storm that basically traversed the country, now, like we said in that last story, pounding New England, snowing still in New York, and now it's heading up toward Boston and eventually up toward Maine. But here in the Midwest, things are very quiet. High pressure extends from the southern portions of Arkansas northward into Canada. There's that little bit of light snow to the north, and other than that, things are very quiet. Temperatures right now, 20s, 30s, some 40s to the south, and we don't see much in the way of change, perhaps even temperatures being a couple degrees warmer for tomorrow. 24 for the overnight low temperature as the clear skies this evening give way to cloudy skies overnight, and then for tomorrow, look for cloudy skies to start out, but it'll quickly turn partly sunny and not as cold. High temperature topping out at 39 degrees. On future track, things pretty quiet. A few clouds coming in tonight. That'll keep temperatures in the mid-20s. Then we'll see partly sunny skies during the day tomorrow with highs in the upper 30s. Tomorrow night, partly cloudy, low temperatures staying in the 20s. Again, that lack of snow cover here now working in our favor to keep temperatures milder, and high temperatures in the upper 30s on Wednesday as well. As we look at the 7 to 10 day forecast, you can see those temperatures staying in the 30s, a brief dip in temperatures for Friday, Saturday 38, and Sunday 44, but some light snow on Monday, a brief dip down in temperatures on Tuesday, and then some rain or snow shower chances about Thursday of next week. As we take a look at first alert traffic right now, the eastbound Beltline not looking too hot. Slow. This is the view at Park Street. Slowest traffic right now, eastbound Beltline. Westbound a little bit better, but there were a couple of accidents earlier. Right now, it looks like those have been cleared up. We're still seeing some delays on the eastbound Beltline from around Monona Drive, still back to well west of Verona Road. So as far as travel times are concerned, the eastbound Beltline over a half hour from University Avenue to the interstate, 22 minutes going back in the westbound direction. Heading out of Madison, it's a quick 25 minutes down to Janesville on I-3990 from the Beltline, especially with the construction being done north of Edgerton. 17 minutes to Sauk City on US 12 and 20 minutes to Sun Prairie on East Washington Avenue and US 151. At your News 3 Now, First Alert Traffic.
Thank you, Gary.
Ahead on News 3 Now at 5. For the first time in nearly a decade, the Supreme Court hears a gun rights case where the justices are weighing a dismissal after a short break.
News
For the first time in nearly a decade, the Supreme Court heard arguments in a gun rights case.
At issue is a New York City handgun regulation that puts tight limits on licensed gun owners' ability to transport firearms outside of their home. As Skylar Henry reports from Washington, it has reignited a larger debate about gun rights.
What do we want? When do we want them?
Supporters of gun control rallied on the steps of the Supreme Court as justices weighed arguments in a guns rights case for the first time in nearly 10 years.
We are fighting because Trayvon Martin can't. We are fighting because Tate Jackson can't. We are fighting because Tamir Rice can't.
The case concerns a New York City regulation that blocked licensed individuals from taking handguns outside of the city limits. 3 gun owners who challenged the city rule and the NRA's New York affiliate argued the restriction violated the right to bear arms.
This is part and parcel of the kind of regulations that have no basis in text, history, or tradition and should not be upheld.
It's unclear whether the Supreme Court justices will reach a judgment in this case because New York City has already dropped the restrictions.
The case is moot. It is a case that should not have gone forward to this point.
City officials urged the court to throw out the case before Monday's arguments, concerned the High Court's conservative majority could use it to broaden gun rights.
The Second Amendment is not supreme. It's just one of the many rights and privileges laid out in the Constitution.
While the liberal justices indicated they supported a dismissal, conservative justices Samuel Alito and Neil Gorsuch seemed ready to decide the case. Skylar Henry, CBS News, the Supreme Court.
And stay with us. We'll have another check of your forecast in just a moment.
chilly night on the way.
Yeah, but you know, not bad. And we don't have the snow on the ground like they do up north, so temperatures are falling off right now. We're at 29 in Madison, many locations, upper 20s. Janesville still at 34, but you can tell farther north, notice Wautoma, 19, 20 in Black River Falls. They have a few more inches of snow on the ground. Wind chills right now, really not much of a factor. Otherwise, look for highs in the upper 30s the next 3 days, lower 30s on Friday, maybe a couple of flurries Thursday night. But quiet weather into the weekend, then maybe some rain showers on Sunday, a little bit of light snow on Monday, and then a chance of rain or snow about Thursday of the following week.
All right, Gary, thanks. We're back in 30 minutes for News 3 Now at 6. CBS Evening News is next.